This is a complete beginner's guide to social media in 2025. My promise is that by the end of this, you will know everything there is about launching a channel, making money, and getting views. The information in this video I gathered from over 7 years of making money on social media, pulling billions of views on my own channels, as well as working with the top creators in every niche to understand the struggles, all the way from a beginner who knows nothing to someone with literally 10 million subscribers. Finally, from what I could find, there is not one other single piece of content on the internet about this topic that goes this in depth, shows real channels, real revenue, and is free. This video took me months to make, so enjoy. Alright, before we get into anything tactical, this entire section is about the opportunity. So the pros and cons, how much you can make, where the industry's going, etc. Something that you have to understand about social media that 99% of people get wrong is that there's certain things and skill sets that I'm going to teach you in this video that simply do not change. Most people, especially beginners, are driven by looking for the next secret sauce method, but the game isn't about that. It's about using these core foundational principles and executing on them to find or even sometimes create a niche to make money for yourself. The people who I know that are making the most money don't have the best method, they have the best foundational skill sets, and they're using that to leverage into whatever opportunity they're deciding to go after. That being said, this next section will talk about the current state of short-form social media as of summer of 2025. So first, how much can you make? On short form content, there's two main ways to make money. The first is AdSense. So that's platforms paying you out a percentage of the ads they run on your content to incentivize you to make good content. And second is to push the people who are watching your videos somewhere. So think TikTok shop selling products or being a UGC creator or making video game promos or anything like that. For AdSense, something like YouTube Shorts currently makes about 20 cents per 1,000 views. That means that per million views, you make around $200. This sounds discouraging, but there are literally thousands of channels pulling over 100 million views a month that are absolutely printing. The realistic outcome I see from friends who run successful short channels is making anywhere from $3,000 to $20,000 a month, with that fluctuating. And then if they consistently keep crushing it, I have friends that are making 40, 50, 60K, even 100K a month just off of shorts on YouTube. Shout out Bolt Motivation. There's also stuff like the TikTok creativity program, Facebook Reels monetization, and Snapchat Spotlight if you're going for that type of faceless content. The foundation of making money on AdSense is that you need to constantly have videos that are getting views. If you're a beginner, this is probably the easiest method because you don't need to think about where to funnel the views, you're just rewarded for getting them. Realistically, it'll take you about 2 to 3 hours every day to find an idea, write a script, get it voiceovered, edit it, and upload it, but we'll talk about that and how to make it easier later. For opportunities like TikTok Shop, the products you're selling and how you're selling them matter a ton, which can sometimes get a bit confusing because there's this extra layer of complexity added onto it. An example that I ran here was we had a Fortnite game development studio and we would make TikToks, Reels, and YouTube Shorts pushing people into our games, and we would get paid whenever people would play them. Once again, way more complicated, but the core skill set of making videos that get views is what we're teaching here, because once you understand that, there are a million ways that you can apply it to make money. And finally, an overall view of short form social media is that this shit is absolutely dominating. YouTube Shorts just passed TikTok, getting over 200 billion views a day, but even past that, since 2020 and the rise of TikTok, short form social media is just overpowered. There's this new tech company called Cluely run by this kid named Roy Lee, and he talks about this notion that if you can get 1 billion views to anything, whether that's perfume or software, you will make a ton of money. Because of this, they think of themselves as a distribution first company, and everything they do to go viral. Short form on social media is where most people's attention is. This next section is all about pros and cons. Making short form content is a really good opportunity, especially if you're a beginner. It's easier to make videos than long form, takes less time, costs less money, there's a ton of tools to make the whole process easier, and you can mostly do it for free. Once again, this is where everybody's attention is, and the industry is only getting bigger. RPMs on shorts, so how much money you make per 1,000 views, is also going up. When I started shorts back in 2022, my average RPM was 0.03, and now the average is 0.2. 2. That's a 560% increase in just 3 years, and the CEO of YouTube says that he expects it to keep going up. On top of that, Shorts does require less skills and has a lower barrier to entry, so you don't have to go from level 0 to level 100 Mafia boss right away to just get your first video to blow up. If you're a beginner and willing to do the work, you can make money off this. The time to blowing up is also relatively short as well. With good concepts and videos, you can have channels that blow up within the first month, though of course that's different for everybody. And then finally, the skill set of making videos go viral once you have a channel under your belt is overpowered. If you actually get a channel with a couple million subscribers, you now have a skill set that you can leverage to make tens of millions of dollars if you use it correctly. The cons here are that, of course, it's competitive. There are hundreds of thousands, probably millions of people making content online. If this shit was easy, there would be no money left in it for you to make. I want to talk about oversaturation here for a second because that's a word that I hear beginners say a lot. Oversaturation, especially in the context of YouTube Shorts or social media, does not exist. What happens is a niche gets competitive and then the quality standard that you need to make your video gets too high for your skill set, budget, or time. Documentary channels have been big on YouTube literally ever since YouTube was created, and just 2 years ago, I started a documentary channel and our third video got 1 million views. Your niche isn't oversaturated, you just aren't good enough at making videos, which is why you should keep watching. This next section is about information versus execution. I am spending a ridiculous amount of time and money putting together all this niche information for how to make social media work. I can give you as much information as you want, but you just won't internalize it until you actually try what I'm talking about. It is very important to have good information and actually be confident in the opportunity you're working on, but you just have to execute and most likely fail multiple times to see any success and make any money with this. There's just no sugarcoating it. Because of how hard the execution piece is here, we've spent the entire year working on a software product to help you make videos that get views, which I'll be showing examples of later in this video. But at the end of the day, it's up to you to understand that you need to go through this long period of executing and failing to actually build up the skills and confidence. Especially after this video, there is no more information that you could possibly need to know. You literally just need to execute. Okay, in this section, I'm literally just going to open up the backend analytics from a couple videos that we've worked on and walk you guys through them. So this first analytics dashboard is from a channel I ran back in 2022 called Slam Dunk. Here's the video. These primitive survival videos are fake. See, in this video where 2 guys turn dirt into an underground house and swimming pool, there's 7 different things to prove that the build was staged. You guys get the point. This video is actually almost 3 years old now and is currently sitting on 93 million views. Now in the analytics dashboard, there's 2 main things that you need to pay attention to. The first is your retention graph. So this is what it looks like. And then the second is your swipe rate. Your retention graph is literally YouTube telling you where people clicked off. In this video, there's no one point of obvious drop off. It kind of just happens throughout the video, but this is a very, very good retention graph. I'll show you guys examples of bad retention graphs in a second. And then my swipe rate on this video is 78%. The swipe rate is when they're swiping and it's popped up on their screen, what percentage of people just instantly swipe away. I talk about this really in depth later in the course, but you just have to be analytics obsessed when you're doing especially something like YouTube Shorts. The goal is going to be to beat your analytics every single time you upload. Just to show you how much your analytics actually matter, here's another video that we uploaded. I'm just gonna show you the first part of the video. Speed just legally became the mayor of a country.
I am now the mayor of Peru!
See, he was streaming his South American tour in Peru yesterday. So anyways, 2 slightly different video types. There's a way harder drop off in the beginning, and then there's a clear drop off here at around 10 seconds. The swipe rate is 74%, so just a 4% difference. And the difference that makes can literally be 100 million views. The first one I showed you, 93 million, this one has 12,000. So this is probably what your analytics will look like in the beginning, and people don't understand how important it is to get this graph to be flat. If I go side by side right now between these 2 graphs, it's such a miniature difference that leads to 100 million views. YouTube has spent over a decade building out these analytics dashboards to literally tell you what you're doing wrong to try to make it better on your next video because they are incentivized to push out the best possible content. People oftentimes try to game the algorithm, but really what the algorithm is just your viewer's psychology. If the video was boring, you will see that in the retention graph and people will swipe away. So that means that to get the most amount of views, you literally have to make the best video. Okay, next I want to show you what the revenue dashboards look like. On Slam Dunk, it's been getting no views for the past year and I forgot to fill out a tax form, so it's not monetized anymore. But this is an example of a channel called Pushing Positivity, which my friend Fam ran, and this is what the sweet revenue analytics look like. So this is all USD. You can see on the 26th of May, he made $1.3 thousand, $1.1 thousand, $700. In this time period, he had 18 million engaged views and had a 0.22 RPM. That's what we were talking about before, which means how much money you make per 1,000 views. To get monetized on a shorts channel, you need 10 million views in a 90-day rolling period, and you need 1,000 subscribers on the channel. And the last thing that I want to talk about in this section is the July 14th transformational content update. So a lot of big pages at the beginning of this month started reporting that YouTube is cracking down on unoriginal content with a major monetization change. Starting July 15th, channels that do not meaningfully transform clips risk losing monetization. That includes reaction channels, compilation pages, and more. A lot of people were telling me that shorts are cooked, long form is cooked, you can't make money with this anymore, any AI channels are getting banned. Turns out that's not true. I was concerned about this in the beginning, and we went out and asked YouTube employees what this change meant, and they linked me this reply from the official team YouTube account, which says, "Not exactly. To clarify, this is a major update to our long-standing YPP policies to help us better identify when content is mass-produced or repetitive. This type of content has already been ineligible for monetization for years and is content viewers often consider spam." This whole update was just released to better detect AI spam content that already wouldn't have been monetized before. I do know some people that ran channels that got demonetized, but it was just such a small minority of people, and you can still do all of the stuff that you could have done before. Okay, now in this section, I want to talk about the little differences between the big social media platforms, so like Shorts versus TikToks, Reels, Spotlight, etc. The best and most consistent opportunity for AdSense specifically is going to be YouTube Shorts, but I've also seen people make good money on TikTok. If you're in the US especially, the creator rewards program on TikTok can be very good. I have a friend who started a weather channel posting on Shorts and Reels just a couple months ago, but within the first 2 weeks of uploading the same exact content on TikTok, he made an extra $2,500. You should note though that your videos have to be over a minute long to get into this program. I talked to him to write this section, and he said that he, quote, highly recommends posting if the content is story-based and well-produced. He also said that he was currently seeing 0.7 to $1 RPMs on TikTok. RPMs on the TikTok program do fluctuate pretty heavily though, because it's a fund that TikTok gives out to their creators rather than an actual ad revenue split, so you can go from getting like a $1 RPM to a $0.01 RPM in a couple days. Facebook also has a pretty good monetization program for their Reels. People like MrBeast have said that Facebook is over double the RPM of any other short form platform that they're posting on right now. Instagram Reels really isn't that great for AdSense monetization, but it is where all of Gen Z spends their attention. And finally, Snapchat Spotlight used to be insane before it got nerfed, but with changes coming to the unified monetization program, it might be insane again in a couple months. Though for now, it's just all right in terms of AdSense. And of course, if it does get insane, I'll probably make a video on it. I know that this could sound a bit confusing keeping up with all these platforms, but the good thing is that especially on short form AdSense, basically the same content works across all of the platforms. The Slam Dunk channel that I ran back in 2022 was trend jacking and story based, and we were posting the same content on TikTok and YouTube. The TikTok blew up right away within like 3 videos getting a couple million views, and the YouTube actually took over a month to start hitting. All we were doing was literally just posting the same video across all of the platforms. It took like an extra minute every day. Obviously, what a consumer watches on Instagram Reels is probably different to what they would watch on Facebook Reels, but most of the time I would say there's no downside to posting your video on all of the platforms. Like, why not do it? In this section, I want to touch on faceless channels versus channels with a face on it because they're used for different purposes. There's not one that's better than the other, but there are differences that could better fit your skill set. Faceless channels can be easier to produce way more volume, and it might be easier for you to not put your face on your first YouTube channel. And in some cases, the niche that you're in is just completely a faceless niche. Like, the viewers don't really want to see you yapping on the camera about some story. The Slam Dunk channel was completely faceless and still got like 150 million views a month. You also aren't tied down to the channel, whereas if you put your face in them, obviously you're the one that has to appear in the videos always. Channels with your face on them are great if you're trying to build a brand or make platforms happy. Platforms love when people show their face because it's like real creators to the advertisers, and in some cases they won't even let you monetize if you don't show your face. An example of that is Snapchat stories right now. If you're trying to sell something or push the traffic of your video somewhere, usually putting a face on the content is better. When we were doing the Fortnite map promos, videos, we worked with some creators that had their face on the videos and others that didn't, and honestly, both of the views converted about the same to people playing our games. This is a niche case though, of course, and it's probably because it's Fortnite and a ton of young kids, so they don't really care, but usually when you're trying to convert people somewhere, having a face on the content is better. Also, something interesting is if you look at who the top viewed creators are on social media right now, it's actually people who show their face but don't speak in their videos. This is because the content appeals to everybody worldwide, and it's not just niche down to English speakers, so your potential audience gets literally 10x the size. This is why MrBeast dubs his videos into every language possible and can get hundreds of millions of views a video. For both faceless channels and channels with your face on it, the same core principles apply to making videos that get views, which we are getting to. I promise. Okay, we are at the end of the opportunity section right now, so I'm going to walk you through starting a channel from zero to break your fear of it. There is literally no special sauce here. You just make the channel and you don't need to overthink it. A question that I get a lot is people asking me about aged channels. People think that if they have a channel that they were active on for years before they started uploading, the YouTube algorithm gods will push out their video more than if they just created a fresh channel. Look, there's a ton of people that will try to give you tricks like this, and I would say for the most part, you can just ignore them. I think that age channels make zero difference at all, but even if they did, the difference would be negligible to what making an amazing banger video would have. Focus on the basics and don't get caught up in the algorithm hacks. Get somebody to click on your video or stop scrolling and then get them to watch as long as possible. YouTube is literally incentivized to push out good content, and contrary to what you might think, there actually isn't enough good viral content on their platform right now, which is why if you make it, your video and channel will blow up. Sorry for the tangent, but I literally just want to talk to you about this to get over your irrational fear of needing more information to do stuff. This lesson goes beyond social media, but really you just have to make the channel. I made a Google account in literally like 2 minutes and then just pressed create channel and found a name that worked with the handle. On the Slam Dunk channel, I literally just went on Google and looked up guy dunking a basketball and then blacked him out and then put a yellow background. You can just take a selfie and put it as the profile picture. Like, this stuff does not matter. Don't overthink this step. You can call the channel literally whatever you want. Boom, we are done with the opportunity section and on to the first tactical section of finding your niche. I'm going to give you 3 different ways that you can do this. The number 1 rule that you need to keep in mind while you're doing this section is that you need to pick a niche that has a big enough potential market for you to make money. Say, for example, that you're trying to make a YouTube Shorts channel. Make sure that the biggest channel in your niche is doing at least 50 million views a month, but ideally there's multiple channels doing hundreds of millions of views. A lot of people would wrongly think that having a ton of big channels in your niche makes the niche oversaturated. But once again, you need to enter into a big enough market to actually make money, and you're going to compete by making better videos than the competition. Okay, now for niche finding method number 1. If you have a general idea of what content you already want to make or something that you're interested in, you can literally just look it up on YouTube and see if there's channels that are getting millions of views. If they are, then that's amazing because the niche is already proven to exist and you can just make your starting point 5% different than the best videos that you can find. For example, if I was really into nature and wanted to start a nature storytelling fun facts channel, I would just look it up on YouTube and see if there were already big channels, and if there are, then I would just make my starting point 5% different than theirs. I'm going to have a fully dedicated section to what we call the Zoinkin twist right after this, so please stay tuned for that. Method number 2 is to sort through sites like view stats from MrBeast to find the top performing channels on YouTube and find content that you like. All of these channels will be in big enough niches for you to get started in because they're literally all getting hundreds of millions to even billions of views a month. For example, if you did this right now, you would find a channel called Gain Sanity that's getting like 800 million views a month. It's a certain style of storytelling mixed with clipping that's doing absolutely insane right now, and it would be an amazing niche to enter if you can find your 5% difference because clearly the market is massive. And finally, method number 3, which I personally think is the most overpowered, is to doom scroll with the intention of finding a niche. See, you don't necessarily need to make content about something that you're passionate about. I know people that are printing hundreds of thousands of dollars off of AI sleeping channels, but sometimes it can help. When doom scrolling your For You page, you are probably scrolling across content that you enjoy watching, and since it's being pushed to you, it's probably being pushed to other people, meaning the videos are actually getting views and the market is big enough. Of course, this isn't always true. Like, sometimes people just have niche interests and the markets are too small, so just make sure that the top performing channels in your niche are getting at least 50 million views a month, but preferably incomparably more. We found the concept for the slam dunk channel by literally just doom scrolling, finding this channel called No Shot that was pulling tens of millions of views of video, and we just took the style, made it our own, and made it into celebrity news. Because of this, the niche was big enough and slam dunk ended up doing hundreds of millions of views a month. Okay, next, what the is zoinkin twisting? I may have talked about this in literally every video I've made so far, so if you're bored about hearing this explanation, I'm sorry. Zoinkin twisting is the art of copying something, but making it 5 to 10% different by adding your own twist to it, making it better, covering topics they haven't covered, etc. This completely goes beyond just social media or YouTube shorts. I literally live and die by zoinkin twisting. The first time that I ever made real money online, I was 15 years old during COVID. There was this guy named Grant the Goat who was a mobile Fortnite YouTuber, and he was blowing up by trying out for TikTok clans. Yes, that is a real sentence. I had literally never even made content videos before, but for some reason I decided to zoink twist his videos because I was a fast editor on PC, so I thought that I could add something that was interesting. And in the first month of doing that, my channel got over 40 million long form views, making little 15-year-old me over $100,000 in profit in a month. I've used the zoink and twist framework over 10 times super successfully in business and even in life, like figuring out what my workout plan is or my nutrition or something like that. It's just overpowered. The main thing about this point that I cannot stress enough is that you can't just do the zoink, you also need the twist to make it personal to yourself. When I first made a YouTube video talking about running the slam dunk channel, literally everyone, like there were thousands of people that copied our exact format, but the issue is that nobody was making videos that were different or better. So everyone was just falling short and being stuck in view jail and saying that the niche was oversaturated. Then my friend Fam came along in the exact same niche and literally just added clips to the videos, talked about slightly different subjects, and talked about stuff that was happening recently to make it personalized to him, and in his first month did over $10,000 in profit. For example, this was our most popular video on the Slam Dunk channel with over 100 million views. These primitive survival videos are fake. See, in this video where two guys turn dirt into an underground house and swimming pool, there's 7 different things to prove that the build was staged. And this was Fam's most popular video on pushing positivity with 50 million views.
This guy's morning routine is fake. See, Ashton Hall is going viral for dunking his face in ice water and rubbing banana peels on his face at 5 a.m., but there's 3 things to prove that he's lying.
The bottom line is that zoinkin twisting is an amazing framework to use, especially if you're a beginner or feel like you're stuck, but just make sure to actually make it 5 to 10% better or personalized to you. Another really good framework that we use all the time when thinking about niches to enter and then eventually video ideation is the 1 + 1 = 2 framework. Huge YouTubers like MrBeast or Unspeakable talk about this all the time. Take 2 already working and existing concepts and combine them into one thing that makes a new product. For example, for my first blow up on YouTube that I talked to you about before, I mixed the fast editing niche with the TikTok clan niche on YouTube, and people absolutely loved it. I was good at the game and editing quickly to blow the minds of these TikTok clan leaders that I was trying out for, which is the exact reaction that the viewers wanted to see. Because I combined these 2 pretty separate niches, the viewers had not seen videos like this before, which is why each of them were getting millions of views. You can do this with literally any niche or video idea, but once again, make sure that the outcome of what you're making is still big enough to attract a large amount of viewers. Like, don't niche yourself down too much. Next, I want to talk about niche-based For You pages. I said before that my favorite method of finding a niche is probably doom scrolling. Once you've identified the niche that you want to get into and made the channel, make the algorithm on that page serve content from your niche. We ran this animal stories channel a couple months ago and made it so our entire For You page was just serving us the top content from that specific animal niche. This is super overpowered because you can actually get into the viewer's mindset of watching these videos on the platform, and you can pick up on what the top competitors are doing differently or better than you. We'll talk about the checklist method to identify that later. But that being said, I would definitely recommend making a page curated in your niche so you can see all of the videos that are doing good. Okay, next are examples of good and bad niches. We're whipping out the headphones for this one. The first thing that I want to cover is clipping versus channels like Music Media Co. and Bolt Motivation. Okay, I would say that this is what the average clipping channel looks like. So something like this.
They were our first sponsor. Yeah. Like, that's how we started on it.
Okay, now I want to compare that clipping video to the recent Music Media Co. video.
Have you ever noticed these specific routines rappers follow at every concert? Like Kendrick Lamar, who always screams the name of the city he's in after finishing the song Humble.
Same thing with this channel Bolt Motivation. Just look at one of these clips.
Who weighed the plates?
Who the fuck are you? I'm not answering your questions.
Who weighed the plates? Your dad. World record. Not allowed. Pretty big.
So there's this myth that clipping is oversaturated and it's really hard to get views. It's not oversaturated, just the amount of effort that it takes to get views is more than most people are willing to put in. If you just do like this average clipping channel where you're just cutting clips from podcasts or streamers or something like that, then there's no real variables that you control other than what the clip is to go viral. That doesn't mean that these clips can't go viral. There's random Joe Rogan clips and streamer clips that go viral literally every day. It just means that since you don't control a ton of variables, it's harder to consistently make viral videos. Whereas then on something like Bolt Motivation, I think the stat was that this guy was averaging 15 million views a clip, which is ridiculous. And the reason that these guys can go viral with every single video is because they're not just clipping, they're telling stories. They control literally every variable from the hook, whether that's visual or adding AI voiceovers. They have these little editing quirks that they do. If you were to just post these clips with none of their special editing or storytelling onto it, it would literally get 100 times less views than it currently has on these channels. I wanted to talk about this niche because oftentimes people just ask me why their clips aren't going viral, and it's because they don't control a ton of variables, so it's just kind of random. Okay, the next thing that I want to talk about is the slam dunk niche versus something like pushing positivity versus something like what everyone was doing to copy slam dunk. When we started slam dunk back in 2022, there was no high quality celebrity news content that was in this storytelling format, so it was an amazing niche to enter. And then, like I said before, there were thousands of channels that started copying what we were doing on the slam dunk niches, like this one.
Mr. Beast is the kindest person on earth, but he actually hates some of the biggest celebrities on the planet. The first one is Jacksepticeye.
So once again, it's the normal slam dunk storytelling niche, but there's just these little differences that make his videos slightly worse than what we were doing on slam dunk, which keeps this channel in view jail. As you guys can see, all this guy's videos are plateauing like at 25,000, 30,000, 10,000 views. And if you ran this channel and didn't really know much about YouTube, you might say that the niche is oversaturated or that your channel can't get out of view jail. But then you look at a channel like Pushing Positivity that was started just a couple months ago, and their most popular video has 50 million views. Once again, it's literally the same exact format with just a couple slight tweaks to make the videos better than what we were doing on Slam Dunk.
Kaisen at Streamer University just got heartbreaking.
There's a fight? Who's fighting?
You might think it's because Rakai got into a fight or a student got expelled, but you would be completely wrong.
So once again, it's not an example of the niche being bad, it's an example of the videos not being to a high enough quality standard to actually get views. This next niche that I want to cover is super random. It's pack openings. We had a guy in our Discord, it wasn't this channel, I can't remember the channel name, that was asking me why his pack opening videos weren't going viral. So I looked it up for this section of the video because I wanted to show an example of a niche that wasn't big enough. From first glance, this channel has 300,000 subscribers and all of these pack opening videos have like 5 million views, 3 million views, 2 million views. Like, it looks pretty big. Just for an example of what the content looks like, here's what it is.
100 pack mega pack, here we go. Super volley, it's too many cards, dark hole, we got E-Black, can't even hold it, Nessie.
And I would say that this is actually optimized for retention, but then when you pull up his channel, he's only getting 1.4 million short form views a month. That literally makes less than like $100. So no matter how good this guy makes his pack opening videos, there's a very low chance that he makes enough money for the effort that he's putting in, just because the market of people who want to watch that type of content is relatively small. That doesn't mean that the niche as a whole is all bad. It just means that if you want to make money from AdSense on short form on this niche, it's probably not the best play. Like, maybe this guy is selling packs or something like that and making a crazy amount of money, and that's completely fine. I'm just talking purely from an AdSense perspective. It doesn't make sense to make pack opening videos if you're just going to try to do it to pull views. And then the last niche that I want to talk about is this animal stories niche that I think I mentioned before. This niche is absolutely ridiculous. I mean, these videos are getting like 200 million views, 100 million views, 100 million, 90 million, and it just keeps going on. It's insane. This channel was literally getting like 1 billion views a month, and it's just these fake animal stories videos. I would play a video, but it has an Ed Sheeran song in it. Once again, this market is absolutely massive, so if you can just find a 5 or 10% differentiator to this, then I'm sure that you can get a channel to go viral. The last thing that you need to know for your niche section is that you need to target English-speaking audiences, or at least audiences from first world countries. Your RPM is a huge factor in determining how much money you actually make at the end of the day, and the niche that you're in determines what your RPM is. For example, there's these CapCut troll face edit template videos or these AI animal storytelling videos that get hundreds of millions of views. That's cool, and you will always at least make some money when you're pulling hundreds of millions of views a month, but the issue is that these channels have a high percentage of Indian audience, which is usually lower than 0.02 RPMs. Comparatively, a channel like Pushing Positivity that I showed you before has an average 0.25 RPM, sometimes getting up to 0.3 or plus. This means that just because Pushing Positivity has a primarily English-speaking US audience, it literally makes 10 times more per the same amount of views as like a troll face CapCut edit template channel. This same rule applies to those huge face channels that don't speak in their videos that I showed you before. Those channels get billions of views a month because the people don't speak, so there's no language barrier, which means that the total addressable market is literally everybody, but that also means that on average, these channels have way lower RPMs. Usually on something like YouTube Shorts, from my experience, the sweet spot is to be in an English-speaking niche where you can have potential to pull at least 50 to 100 million views a month. By the way, if you're in a third world country, you are not cooked. You can literally just change your location to appear on YouTube as being in the United States, and then you could either speak English in your content or have an AI voice over your videos in English and just cultivate high RPMs from that audience. And no, it doesn't matter where you post from, especially on YouTube. Okay, so you should have the niche that you want to enter and know basically everything there is about the opportunity. So now you need to actually make your first video. Don't worry though, I'm gonna make a video with you step by step. The goal here isn't even necessarily to make a mega banger viral video, it's just to get content out there. If you go back on Mr. Beast's first videos, you'll see what I mean. He was just literally throwing shots up. You need to make it exist first, you can make it good later. For the sake of this section, just so I can make a video with you, let's assume that I'm entering the interesting nature facts niche, which I talked about before, and fits all of the criteria of the previous section. First, you need to break your content down into sections. For this niche, to make a video, you need ideation, script writing, voiceovering, and then editing. I told you we're gonna walk through the entire process, starting with ideation. So for the ideation, I decided to zoink and twist one of the biggest channels in this niche called Discovery Dose. More specifically, this video that was posted a couple months ago about wood being worth more than gold.
As they pierce the tree with a hot metal rod, the wood inside will soon be more expensive than gold, because this is just a regular Acalara tree.
It's about the process of changing this tree into something that's used in perfumes, and we're just gonna zoink and twist it. 2.2 million likes, meaning that this is a big enough market. Ideation for the first video complete. Okay, next is script writing. You can script write on a Google Doc. I'm gonna do it in our software tool. I'm literally just going to copy and paste the URL for this video. It's gonna watch the video. We're gonna title it Wood Worth More Than Gold. Okay, it's watching the video and it's completed. Continue. For the sake of this section, I'm going to keep the exact same topic rather than adding more context just to show you guys what I'm talking about. So generate script. Okay, this was the first generation, so let's read this out. This tree gets turned into perfume worth more than gold. It's called an agar tree and looks totally normal. I would say the script is like 85% of the way there to making a viral video. We'll talk about how to do that later. If you're wondering how we got this script in literally 10 seconds to be good, we're using a framework called Second Brains that I talked about on my main channel. And this basically leaves us with this script that in my opinion is like 85% of the way there to being good. So I'm just gonna go around and change a couple things real quick. Okay, done. I changed it for literally 1 minute, but once again, since this is your first video, you don't need to make it perfect. You just need to make it exist. So I will press continue. Okay, and that is our script writing section done. Moving directly into the voiceover section. AI voiceovers as of like a month ago, so as of July 2025, got insanely good. So I'm gonna use an AI voiceover for this script to demonstrate that to you guys. Okay, so I'm gonna use the ViewMax voice that we custom made for this, and basically keep everything the same. And yeah, looks good. Generate speech. Let's see how long this takes. Let's hear how it sounds. We might have to split this up. It generated 8 lines. Okay.
This tree is worth more than gold. It's called an agar tree and looks totally normal, but when it's infected with a certain bacteria, something crazy happens.
Ooh, it glitched out at the end there. Okay, I'm just gonna generate this like this. So that is first, and then this is second. Okay, regenerate and regenerate. Let's listen to the other sections.
Over time, the tree fights back by making a thick, sticky stuff called resin.
Okay, pause. Okay, I think we're good. Let's listen to the whole thing.
This tree is worth more than gold. At first, it looks totally normal, but when it's infected with a certain bacteria, something crazy happens. People drill small holes into the tree and inject a fiery liquid that infects it. Over time, the tree fights back by making a thick, sticky substance called resin.
Okay, I think that this sounds pretty good, so I'm going to hit continue, and that's the voiceover done. I'm telling you, this stuff is not that hard. I'm gonna pick the default captions, and then the next and final section here is editing. So I'm just gonna speed run that real quick. Okay, now that I have B-roll uploaded, I'm just gonna go through and clip parts like this that I want to use for the B-roll. Okay, so the B-roll, the voiceover, the music, the script, the captions, everything is loaded in. This is without even touching it in editing.
This tree is worth more than gold. At first, it looks totally normal, but when it's infected with a certain bacteria, something crazy happens. People drill small...
Okay, obviously I need to mess with the B-roll, so I am going to do that real quick and then cut to the video being done and show it to you guys real quick in the timeline.
This wood is worth more than gold. Deep in forests, they find these trees that look normal, but inside hides something rare. They drill small holes and push in a fiery liquid full of special bacteria. The tree tries to fight back, so it makes a thick, sticky sap packed with strong smells and strange chemicals. Over many years, this sap hardens and spreads through the wood. The wood then turns dark and smells amazing.
Okay, so the process of making that whole video took about 30 minutes, and I think that this video is good enough to go viral, but once again, this is just the process of making the first video. I'll show you how to make it good in a later section. Now that I've actually shown you the process of making your first video, I have some tips to make this part easier. First is that usually I won't just get one good idea and execute off of that. We track everything and keep it organized through Trello. Here is what one of our short form Trellos look like. This took me literally 3 minutes to set up, and it's how we managed the entire channel. It's also free. Funny enough, I actually got this whole Trello set up for organization from a channel I worked at called Rebound, and the owner of that channel just happened to be best friends with Mr. Beast, and Mr. Beast was helping them with this stuff. So in my mind, after I left Rebound, I had just stolen Mr. Beast's organization system. Of course, don't get too overly obsessed with these productivity systems. The only thing that matters is making a good video, but this would just help us keep it tracked, especially when we would hire out editors. Which brings me to my next section of doing everything yourself versus partnering with someone versus hiring people. If you are a beginner, I would basically always advocate to do everything yourself. You need to learn the hard skills of how this shit works, and to be honest, you probably don't have enough money or experience to even get a good team. That crazy month that I had back when I was 15 with the Fortnite TikTok clan stuff that for some reason I keep talking about in this video, I did completely myself. Ideation, script writing, recording, editing, thumbnails, uploading. I had literally no employees. I was a one-man show, and I was just learning how to do the stuff as I went along. You can learn these skills through ChatGPT, YouTube, and actually making videos. You will suck at first, and then you will get better. I promise. That being said though, for the Slam Dunk channel that I ran, I partnered with an editor that I knew at the time named Daniel, and we decided to split the work 50-50. I didn't want to spend any time editing, and he didn't want to spend any time finding ideas, voicing over, or script writing. So it was a perfect fit. If you are good enough at script writing, finding ideas, voiceovers, reviewing videos, and understanding analytics, which we'll talk about later, then you can 100% find an amazing editor to partner with. This works vice versa as well. You just have to be an amazing editor. You find these people mostly through Twitter and Discord. For example, if you join our Discord and just start talking and making friends in the chat or look at the sidebar, basically everybody has some content experience. And then it's on you to have good enough skills to make somebody want to partner with you. And finally, hiring, especially when the channel has no momentum, is super risky, and you probably shouldn't do it unless you're already experienced. Good editors cost about $30 to $60 USD depending on the niche. It could definitely be more. You also find them mostly on Twitter, but to be honest, if you're a beginner, do not hire people. Literally just learn to do everything yourself. Something like ViewMax that I just showed you guys before is $20 a month. Your whole goal should just be to learn hard skills for yourself, and of course, if you want, you could partner with someone. Okay, next, I want to talk to you guys about copyright and how to make monetizable content. A ton of people ask me about YouTube's copyright or originality policy and ask me how the Slam Dunk channel was monetized. Basically, you need to make content that YouTube deems transformational. If you're adding a script, storyline, voiceover, B-roll, music, sound effects, etc., it's probably transformational, and you can use any content you want, including stuff from like Mr. Beast or movies, anything. The gray area here is clipping, whereas stuff like Music Media Co. or Bolt Motivation that I showed you before is definitely transformational. If you just rip a clip from a podcast or a top YouTuber, there is a chance that YouTube makes it so you don't meet the monetization policy. Also, a quick note about music is that on YouTube Shorts specifically, you can still use copyrighted music like funk music or even big radio songs and usually still get away with it with full monetization. There are exceptions to this, and sometimes your video will get blocked in certain countries, so you can play it safe if you want. The song we used on the Slam Dunk channel was called East Hills Instrumental, but to be honest, it's kind of washed because that was like 3 years ago. So I'd just scroll through your Shorts feed and find the songs that people are using and take them from there. Or we curated like a 200 song list in ViewMax that you can use. The background music you use in your videos just really depends on your niche. I know this whole video has kind of been this mass information dump of step-by-step how to make money on social media, and at times could feel pretty robotic. So I think now is a good time to talk about how personality in your videos is your edge to make yourself unique. Even if you're making fully faceless content, the way that you arrange the B-roll, the different ways that you do the voiceover, your video ideas, they need to always be unique or personalized to you, even if you're zoink and twisting or doing the 1 + 1 = 2 method. My friend Fam, who ran the Pushing Positivity channel, did this really well, especially for a faceless channel, because he would arrange the B-roll in a way that would be funny, or he would say something questionable in the script. Literally nobody likes or remembers a video where you're just being robotic and playing by the rules. I'm sure there's certain cases where it works, but it's just not memorable. Your personality and your emotion is your edge. Mix that in with these core foundational principles to make the best videos possible. Okay, so I think that I covered everything that I needed to cover for before uploading your first video, probably, to be honest, giving you way too much information. So I wanted to show you exactly what the upload process looks like, because once again, people think that there's some hidden algorithm trick. We literally just export from our editing software and drag and drop it into the YouTube uploader, title it whatever we want, and then put a description, or if you're posting a long form, a thumbnail. The tags on your videos really don't matter, and to be honest, the description doesn't even matter. It's literally just the thumbnail and title if on long form, and then the content of the video that really matters. I can't stress this enough, but the only thing that will get you views on social media is making an amazing video. Okay, so now that you are uploading videos, you are in what's called view jail. This means that the videos you're making are getting anywhere between 0 and 30,000 views and then completely flatlining. Your channel has no momentum. This is 100% completely normal, and just understand that if you're a beginner especially, you will probably be here for a while. I'll talk about the mentality of this later, but just know that you will not get views on your first videos. It's not normal to blow up right away because you need to find the formula. The basis of escaping view jail is that you need to make videos that are good enough to be pushed out consistently. View jail doesn't actually exist. It's just a term that people use when their videos are flatlining. There isn't a jail that your channel's stuck in and then magically the algorithm gods will free you and you'll become a millionaire. Also, if you think that you're shadow banned, you're not. Your videos just suck. The reason that your videos are getting 0 to 30,000 views and then flatlining is because with that little small push, YouTube is trying to figure out if your video is actually good enough to be pushed out to the audience that you're targeting. They actually want to push your video out because, as I talked about before, there isn't enough viral content that's being posted to the platform. So if you make that content, you will get views. This is the same for every platform, by the way, not just YouTube. YouTube is momentum based. So usually once you get one video that breaks out of view jail, all of your other videos start getting views, even if they once flatlined from 0 to 30,000. On Slam Dunk, all of our first videos flatlined between 3 and 5,000 views, but if you look today, all of those videos are sitting at millions of views because they got pushed out once the channel hit momentum. So just know that even if you are getting literally 0 views, you aren't uploading for nothing. You're uploading to make better and better videos each time, and you're looking for that formula. The main issue that I'm going to keep reiterating for this entire section is that if you're still stuck in view jail, your videos are just not good enough to be pushed out yet. So how do you know that your videos aren't good enough? Well, YouTube literally tells you. The whole point of analytics on YouTube is for them to tell you directly what you're doing wrong so that you can make those changes and create content that's good enough to be pushed out. They've spent tens of millions of dollars and over 10 years perfecting this analytics dashboard. I promise you there's no secrets that they're hiding. Here is the analytics of a super viral video that we've made in the past. 93 million views, 262,000 subscribers gained off of it, a 28-second average view duration on a 28-second long video, so that's an 100% average view duration, and then 77.9% of these people stayed to watch. I definitely showed this video before, but once again, this is for the primitive survival video on Slam Dunk. These primitive survival videos are fake. See, in this video where 2 guys turn dirt in, I need you to pay attention to this graph. Here are the analytics to a video that we posted that was stuck in view jail. It has a 26-second average view duration on a 29-second video. That's a 90% average view duration. 77% of people stayed to watch, and this is what the graph looks like. Just so you can paint a picture in your head, I want to show you the first couple seconds of this video. This is the saddest moment on a speed stream.
Oh, what's so deepest, darkest secret?
I tried to myself.
Hey!
You asked for it.
I know, but come on, chill out. You okay? All right, you're gonna be all right.
I lost my best friend. I can't be okay.
Okay, anyways, that was so depressing. Anyways, I wanted to show you this example specifically just so you can see how little these differences actually make to getting millions of views. So I'm gonna go back and forth here between the view jail video and the viral video and look at the difference between these retention graphs. If you were a beginner just uploading for the first time and you saw this view jail video's retention graph, you might think that it's pretty good, but it's not. The word algorithm on YouTube can actually just be replaced with the word audience. This is what I've been talking about the entire time, where if you can make an amazing video that deserves to go viral, it will actually go viral. So comparing between these two graphs, you can tell that this primitive survival one is just way flatter. And while the graph to this ViewJail video is kind of flat, you can see that way more people clicked off in the first 2 seconds, and then over this first 10-second period, there was way more drop off than in the other one. I promise that is literally the difference between a ViewJail video and something with 100 million views. There's people in our Discord who tell me all the time, oh, I got an 85% swipe rate and an 100% average view duration, and my video still flatlined at 20,000 views. I'm cooked. The YouTube algorithm gods hate me. YouTube is a momentum game. Don't use views as an indicator of success, especially early on. You need to use your analytics. If you posted 30 videos in a row that had amazing stats and a super flat retention graph, I promise you that one of them would go viral. The hard part is getting the good stats, and for beginners, it's not getting discouraged when your videos get 0 views. Okay, so if the basis of escaping ViewJail is making better and better videos until you make a video that's good enough to actually escape it, how do you make good videos that have good stats? Well, first you need to understand how to read your analytics and get into what we call an iteration cycle. So I already showed you retention graphs and swipe through rates and everything like that. Now I want you to be able to read your own analytics. This guy named Batman typed in our Discord today, "Not my channel, but why are these not being pushed out more?" And then he attached 4 pictures with all of these stats. This is the first picture he uploaded. It is a 16-second long video that has an 18-second average view duration. So you might think that's good. That's like an 110% average view duration or something like that. But now with what you know, can you figure out why this video did not get pushed? If you said the 2 clear drops in the retention graph, then you would probably be right. Obviously, this video has a good swipe through rate. It's like 84%, and it has over an 100% average view duration, but there's still super clear points where people click off. Like right here, I think that's probably like 5 seconds in, and then right here, that's maybe 14 seconds in. And then also this video is really short, so usually you just need to get absurd stats to make that go viral compared to if you were making like a minute-long video. The next thing he shared is of that video getting 30,000 views and then flatlining, exactly what we've been talking about. This channel doesn't have any momentum. It's in ViewJail. And then he uploaded another screenshot of another video that they made that looks like it's flatlining around 30,000 views again, 80-20 swipe rate, and we don't have the retention graph, but I promise you it's probably the same issue. So once again, the goal is to make this graph as flat as possible. Even if you have over an 100% average view duration or something like that, there's still clear points for why people are clicking off. So his job would be to try to understand why everybody clicked off there and then fix that for the next video. Like I said before, YouTube actually pushes videos out based on viewer satisfaction above everything else. There's no metric that YouTube uses that can fully quantify this, but a great indicator is if your retention graph is completely flat. On long forms especially, this is super apparent. The most viral videos by far just have the flattest graphs. Now that you sort of understand how to look at analytics, I want to show you how we would use that to make our next video better. These are the analytics of one of the first videos that we uploaded on Slam Dunk. If you look, in the first 7 days, this video got 17 views. And then now it's sitting at over 700,000 because of the momentum stuff I talked about before. But as you can see, this video is not good. I'm gonna play it for a couple seconds just so you can see.
How did iShowSpeed become the biggest streamer in the world? You would probably think that it was through years of grinding or studying algorithms, but you would be wrong. Speed uses one simple trick to make sure everything he does goes viral. This trick has led Speed to set off a firework in his room.
Oh my god, this video was so bad. There are like hundreds of iterations that we made to get our first viral video versus what we were doing on this video, but one of the most apparent things is the actual script writing style and content of the video. For some reason, I had it in my mind that you wanted to like edge the viewer until the very end, pause, to get to this point at the end where you say the payoff that you've been alluding to the entire video. We learned that that absolutely does not work, and people just swipe away within the first 10 seconds if you don't deliver them any value. And on all of our early Slam Dunk videos, we had this massive problem with huge drop off in the first 3 or 4 seconds. We fixed this by actually focusing on the first frame of the video, by getting better hooks, by getting a different voiceover style. I tested so many different ways of speaking on this channel. We even did different caption styles, and then the music in the background we made drop after the first sentence so it felt like you were really getting into the video rather than dropping right away. Just look at the difference between that video that I just showed you and then this other video that we made a couple months ago.
This is the most evil moment in the Beast game. These 3 people were trapped in a box and they had to pick one person to get eliminated. They all agreed to drop.
Right, so in this video, I'm trying to voice over it way more casually. We had a much more modern caption style. The B-roll, I think, was way better in the first few seconds. And then I actually get into the content of the video as fast as I possibly can. What I just showed you is a direct example of how listening to your analytics leads to you making better videos for your audience. The top people on social media are so obsessed with this. I can't reiterate this enough. This is a case study that one of my friends ran a couple months ago on his own channel. He tracked the views of his channel as well as all the major stats. And if you scroll down here, he actually found a direct correlation between good statistics and views. The better his average view duration was, his average percentage viewed, and his views versus swipe average literally directly correlated to his videos going viral. You can see down here, all of these videos are stuck at around 30,000 and they all have the worst analytics. And then once you get up here, you can see that all of the videos that have tens of millions of views just have the best analytics. A lot of people will criticize directly just going after statistics on your videos like this, saying that it'll make your content robotic, but I actually believe that it's the complete opposite. We already know that the algorithm is basically just another word for audience, and your goal should be to make the best, most entertaining videos for your audience to watch. Paying attention to your YouTube analytics just gives you the tools to do that. Iteration cycles are big in the software world. Basically, you make a product or feature and then you test it in the market with actual users. Then to make the product better, you iterate based off your users' feedback. You essentially do the exact same thing here to escape view jail, except it's way easier because these social media platforms lay out all of these numbers and graphs nicely to show you what you're doing wrong. The faster that you iterate to get to this winning formula, the faster that you'll get out of view jail. For most niches, when starting out, you'll want to upload one video that you genuinely believe is great every single day. After about 24 hours on YouTube, you'll get the retention graph back as well as the analytics. Based off that, before making your next video, you should do what I just showed you and try to get insights into whether your editing, voiceover, ideation, hook, anything like that was bad. Usually, I would recommend just trying to change one thing and then seeing how that affects your analytics the next day to see if that was really the problem. You should get into this constant cycle of trying to make a video that beats the analytics of your last one, and literally in no time you will be forced to make a video that is good enough to escape view jail. And finally, that takes us to the checklist method. A lot of people that I talk to think that they're iterating, but they switch way too many variables each time, so they don't know what was the driver between what was good on a video and bad on a video. So the next step here is to create a literal checklist for what all of the top channels in your niche are doing and what's been working in your videos in the past. Whether you like it or not, the top performing channels in your niche just actually make significantly better videos than you, especially before you get momentum. They have patterns that they do that you might not even pick up on after watching their videos. So literally pay attention to their videos and write down every little detail that you notice that they're doing. Then add any unique elements from your own channel to the checklist as well. For Slam Dunk, here's an example of the checklist that I made by the end. Eye-catching first clip / frame. If not eye-catching, the hook needs to be absurd enough to carry. High quality video clips always. The payoff needs to be illustrated visually at that point in the script. Don't show any kissing or dangerous activity ideally. You can tell we got a flag because of that. The second sentence needs to be some sort of rehook. Use humor where applicable, especially if it's something trending at the moment. The first sentence is the hook to get them to stop, and the second sentence is a rehook to stay. First half of the second sentence needs to feel like it's getting into the video, and the second half needs to be the rehook. An example of that is, I show Speed accidentally lit his house on fire. Then you show a clip for 0.2 seconds. He was lighting fireworks inside of his room for the 4th of July while on stream, and things could not have gone more wrong. So you can see here, I'm directly following what my checklist is saying. There was way more stuff that I'm absolutely going to gatekeep from you here, but just know that you have to make your own checklist. We're getting ultra niche here, but the checklist method is so overpowered because when you're iterating on your videos, every time something is bad, you make a rule to never do that again in your checklist. And then when something is good, you make a rule to always do that in your videos. All right, now that you understand how to read your analytics and actually iterate on them, how can you apply this to making good videos? I'm gonna get hyper niche here with every section, so please stay with me. First, you need to break the video creation method into a couple different parts, so like ideation, script writing, etc. Once again, I'm going to yap about the primitive survival building video because it's a great example here. For the ideation of that video, I wanted to do two things. First is have a listicle format, because on a previous video about Mr. Beast employees that got fired, this worked really, really well in the analytics. Listicle literally means covering multiple things in the video like a list, so 1, 2, 3, 4. And then 2 is break a belief that is mass appealing yet hyper niche. This in of itself is a contradictory sentence, but in my personal experience, the best ideas come from taking a super niche topic and explaining it in a way that is mass appealing. So the idea of how primitive survival videos were faked is absolutely perfect here because I can cover how they were faked in a listicle format, and also it's a super niche belief that I can break for anyone that knows what primitive survival videos are. If you were to come across this video and you knew what primitive survival videos were, you would just not scroll. Another bonus here is that there was a pretty big YouTuber named SunnyV2 that made a long form video about how primitive survival videos were fake that got 20 million views. There was also this shorts YouTuber that made a video on them being fake that got 8 million views, and it wasn't a very good video, so I knew that there was huge market demand for this idea. Last thing here was that I remember at the time there was something in my checklist about making videos that had visually appealing clips in them, and that was perfect for this idea because we had to prove that they were fake by showing the proof in the video. This idea was literally set to blow up from the beginning. Now I'm going to nerd out about the script writing of this video. By the way, what I'm about to yap about might sound confusing to you, but it was literally just picked up off of thousands of reps of failing at script writing videos. I want to talk to you about how beautiful this script is. These primitive survival videos are fake. If you know what primitive survival videos are here, you are just not scrolling. It's just 6 words and so simple, and it elicits this like crazy reaction if you have watched a ton of these videos before. Okay, now this second sentence is where we're cooking though. See, in this video where 2 guys turn dirt into an underground house and swimming pool, there's 7 different things to prove that the build was staged. If you remember from the checklist before, I needed the second sentence to be a rehook, but the first half of the second sentence needed to feel like you were already getting into the video. So me just saying the word see and then having the first part of this sentence being like, in this video where 2 guys turn dirt into an underground house and swimming pool, the viewer's brain is already getting emotionally bought in, so they're not going to scroll. And then this last part, there's 7 different things to prove that the build was staged, is so beautiful. It's a rehook because I'm implying that I'm going to explain what the 7 different things are. And then it also sets me up to go into a listicle format where I can go like 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, and then 1 at the end, which I literally waste no time on in the third sentence. There's parts of the video where you can see excavator marks, paint cans, and cement bags, but if that doesn't convince you that the build isn't real, then maybe the actual excavator or truck that they forgot to edit out will change your mind. So once again, we're just fully into the video here, and this is why the listicle formats are so beautiful, because the video just writes itself. Also, this entire sentence is literally 5 different cool things that we can visually show, and once again, if you're at this part in the video, there is a 0% chance that you're scrolling off before you see the last 2. The cherry on top is the not so primitive gasoline they used to light the fire, and then the part of the video where they accidentally included a guy in the white shirt working on the build in the background. I'm using super casual language this entire video and trying to voice over it casually, and then we're also making jokes like was in the checklist to seem more personable. So I say like the not so primitive gasoline. I also made it so while there was value still being delivered right away in this video, the coolest part was at the end because you literally just see a guy in the white shirt shoveling on this shit in the background. And then at the end I said, so subscribe if you think this video is fake. At the time we were trying to push to 1 million subscribers, and this one sentence gained us 262,000 subscribers. Honestly though, this doesn't add anything to the retention element of it, though nobody scrolled off, so I guess it was fine. When we posted this video on YouTube and it was a 10 out of 10, meaning it performed really badly for the first 2 weeks, I was distraught. I texted Daniel before uploading this video that I thought this video would get us 50 million views, and I was wrong, it got 93 million. But I was so confident in how hard I cooked on this script that it just had to go viral. The next thing I'm gonna yap about quickly is the voiceovering of this video, because it actually does make a difference, but this section's pretty quick. The issue that I made at the start of my YouTube career, especially working on shorts channels, was to be way too energetic and not be conversational. I still make this mistake. There's probably a couple sentences in this video that you're watching where I'm like, hey guys, welcome to ViewMax, blah, blah, blah. And that's just not what you want to do. Now, for the most part, even if I'm voiceovering a short or something like that, I'm assuming that the camera is just replaced with like a person's head and I'm just having a conversation with them. You have to think of it like there's a real person on the other side of the screen. And if I'm like, here's how to make the 3 best voiceovers on ViewMax in 2025, it just doesn't sound real or appealing to listen to. You just need to be conversational. While we were talking, I tried generating that on one of the custom voices we have in ViewMax.
These primitive survival videos are fake.
Probably needs some work, but also not that bad. Also, just a note, your voiceovering and your script writing kind of go hand in hand. I always script write super casually. If you guys could see the stuff that was written on the script right now, I just write it exactly how I'm gonna say it. Listen to the first 5 seconds of this video we made.
Who is iShowSpeed's first subscriber? You'd probably think it would be someone like his best friend Slips, or maybe even his mom, but it's not.
See, this is still definitely energetic energetic, but I'm trying to be conversational. It doesn't fully sound like there's a robot talking to you. Daniel, who edited the final version of this video, was actually sick for the first pass, so we got another editor to do the first version. The original version didn't really come out how we wanted to, and I remember telling Daniel that when he was good to edit, we should definitely get it re-edited because I thought that this video would bang. For the editing portion, we really cared about the little details. If you noticed in the primitive survival video, we would have super high quality stock footage when there wasn't good enough footage in the clip. We would have arrows to guide your eyes to what we were talking about visually on screen. We would have B-roll cuts every 0.75 seconds, etc, etc, etc. The whole goal was just to be visually intriguing because there were actually parts in this video where you could see the video being fake, so we just had to match that visually for the banger story that we were telling to the audience. Editing this back in 2022 was definitely super time consuming, but you could probably recreate something similar to this in like 30 minutes today in VMAX. By the way, just a note, because I talked about this before, when we uploaded this video, it was a 10 on 10 for like 2 weeks, and then it shot up to getting 90 million views and making us over $10,000. So once again, just focus on your analytics above everything else. The mentality here is to make good videos over caring about your initial views. When starting channels, I literally care 100 times more about the analytics of a video than the views of the video. At this point, you should repeat the previous steps until you get a video that escapes view jail. I already talked about this briefly before, but YouTube and most social media platforms in general are momentum based. Once you get one video hit and you can maintain that same quality standard on top of getting momentum on your channel, a lot of your videos start hitting. You'll notice that it's significantly easier at this point to get videos to blow up than before. Right now, you're probably going through your first big momentum push, and what that looks like is probably one video that slowly started to pick up in views, and then your old video started to pick up in views, and now if you post a video that's good enough, right away it'll start to blow up. Just know that while this is awesome, momentum goes both ways. Eventually, your views will come back down, and I'll talk about this in a second. Once you hit your first momentum on a channel, you should know about second brain frameworks. Okay, this is an example of a second brain document. Second brains are basically these documents that have specific and spiky instructions that tell whatever AI you're working with what type of output you want. This is the key to not getting AI slop. I have a video covering how to make money on social media with AI way more in depth, but I'll give you an example here. If I'm in ChatGPT and I just tell it, write me a YouTube short script about why Lil Tay faked her own death, it responds to me with opening shot, news headlines flashing, VO. In August 2023, Lil Tay's Instagram dropped a shocking announcement. She and her brother had died. Fans were stunned, but skepticism quickly spread. Why? Because the announcement came from an account that was inactive for years. It sucks. And this is probably why most of you hate AI. But if you use a second brain and ask ChatGPT the same question, you get a response that's at least 80% good. Why did Lil Tay fake her own death? In August 2023, Lil Tay's Instagram account suddenly posted a message claiming that she and her boyfriend had died, and the internet exploded. But the post was fake, and just one day later, Lil Tay went to TMZ to say that she was alive and her account had been hacked. We use second brain frameworks whenever we're doing a complex task, something like script writing, and AI is just not understanding what type of output to give me. So how can you make a good second brain? Start first by just asking the AI to do the output that you want it to do. Every time that it does something that's obviously bad, make that a rule in the second brain so it doesn't happen again. For example, if you're trying to write a YouTube short script and it keeps telling you opening shot, news headlines flashing, cut to the reaction clips, confused fans, just tell the second brain to plainly give you the script and don't give you any visual cues or anything like that. Next, if you've made literally as many rules as you can and it's still not giving you the output you want, try giving it examples of what a good output looks like and describe to it why that's good. So for example, in this second brain, which is the one that I just used, we have a section on roughed script components. The following is a rough example of how a story short form script would be structured. Sentence 1 hook, the most crucial part of the video, capturing attention immediately, be clear and concise in as little words as possible to get the viewer to stop scrolling. iShowSpeed accidentally lit his house on fire. Sentence 2, get into the video and rehook. Instantly after the hook, it needs to feel like the video is beginning so the viewer doesn't scroll, so the first half of this sentence should be setting up the picture of what is to come and giving important context, then the second half should be rehooking the viewer in a way that isn't corny. I don't know why I specifically used the word corny in this, I must have been raging at the outputs that it was giving me. Example, he was lighting fireworks inside of his room for the 4th of July while on stream, and things could not have gone more wrong. And I do this thing where I explain what the sentences should be, and then I give an example of of that for the entire rest of the script. Because of this, it has all of the context to understand what I actually want so it can give me a good output. Counterintuitively, you don't actually want to overload the second brain with like 10 pages of an essay or something like that. You want to keep it as short and as spiky as you possibly can. A spiky point of view means that the AI wouldn't automatically assume that to be true by default. So you're basically telling it that you think like this. We're using these second brain frameworks in everything that we're generating in ViewMax, which for example is why when you generate a script, it's not just AI slop, it's like 80% of the way there to being great. Next, I want to talk about how your mentality will be the thing that kills you, because that usually happens in this section. This stage specifically is where people start attaching themselves to views and outputs of the video rather than the inputs and the analytics. Don't get me wrong, views are great and you do need to know what performed well and what didn't, but the issue here is that people tie themselves to the views and they get depressed when they have a string of bad videos. I see this trend of people right after their blow up having a fall off where their views drop literally 90% and then they get depressed and think that they suck and then they stop posting. Once again, in that scenario, a 90% drop would literally be completely normal and just part of the game. When I was 15 running my Not Luke Fortnite channel, I also fell victim to this. I would literally upload a video and then wait 3 hours for them to tell me what the out of 10 was, and if it was a 1 out of 10, I would have an amazing day, and if it was a 10 out of 10, I would think that I sucked at making content. If you attach yourself to the views rather than the analytics, then you are setting yourself up to fail literally as soon as your momentum goes down. A lot of this tutorial has been super practical advice that you can actually use, but the mentality here, especially at this section, is why I see most creators giving up. You genuinely need to like at least some aspect of making the videos, or you can just be like me and be completely addicted to the analytics game. Just to show you even more what I'm talking about with the momentum stuff, here are the analytics to pushing positivity. My friend Fam started this channel and recorded daily check-ins of growing it. I'm gonna make a long form video on that soon, so stay tuned. But really what I wanted to show you was the actual momentum in analytics, just so you can see it. So here he started posting on March 4th and got 300 views, and basically stayed down until the 12th of March where his channel got 200,000 views, and then it dropped back down to getting like 100,000 until his huge blow up where he was literally getting 10 million views in a day. And then literally the next week that dropped down to under 1 million views a day. During this stage, I remember him being really depressed because his channel wasn't monetized for this first big blow up, so he missed out on like $5,000. And then slowly but surely, he kept posting banger videos and then had another huge blow up getting 10 million views in a day. This time he was actually monetized. He made $1,378 in that one day. And then literally 2 weeks later, that dropped down to being under $50 a day. And then it went back up to being $500 a day. I think that it's human nature to get depressed when your channel's views go from 10 million to 500,000. But if you stop posting and making banger videos because of that drop, then you're probably not cut out to be a YouTuber. Before I end this section, I want to talk about a really common problem that people face, especially in faceless YouTube here, which is the reused content strike. A ton of channels get falsely flagged for this, and there's certain tricks that you can do to win this appeal. This actually happened to the Pushing Positivity channel that I just showed you, so here's like the first couple seconds of his appeal.
Dear YouTube review team, I'm reaching out to address the alleged violation for the reused content policy. My name is Eric Pham and my channel URL is youtube.com.
Anyways, if you end up running into this issue, this guy named MoneyMind Unfiltered made a video on exactly how to beat that claim. Now your channel should be monetized and doing decent. You should still be trying to make better and better videos each time, and definitely be obsessed with analytics. There's this Wall Street quote that says, things take longer to happen than you think they will, and then they happen faster than you thought they could. That's sort of how this next section of making money goes. You can go from literally never having made money online before to $500 in a day, $1,000 in a day, etc. It's an awesome feeling, but at this stage, the problems get different to what you've been experiencing before. The first thing is something that I will keep reiterating because it's clearly the most important. Making good videos is the biggest driver of success compared to anything else. Don't get caught up in the BS. I see a lot of people trying to get fancy or working things that really just don't matter in this stage. The only thing that you should be worried about is making amazingly wonderful videos. I am sorry about being so repetitive about this topic, but it's just true. When stuff is working, do more of it until you can't. The next thing is that you should double down on concepts that have worked for you in the past. At this point, you're probably one of the up-and-coming channels in your niche. You can essentially zoink and twist yourself by mixing concepts together, running concepts that have worked for your channel in the past, etc. I want to show you guys something. If I look up the word saddest on the Slam Dunk channel, we have Mr. Beast's saddest moment, actual saddest Mr. Beast video, saddest Mr. Beast moment, saddest Mr. Beast moment, happiest and saddest Mr. Beast moment. Literally on all of these, the hook is this is the saddest moment in a Mr. Beast video. And then it would just be a different moment each time. Over time, you sort of get this general feel or intuition of what does good on your channel. Play into that. You can repeat concepts until they stop working with zero repercussions. If I was still running Slam Dunk today, I would probably do a saddest Mr. Beast moment video every single time that Mr. Beast uploaded a video until the analytics stopped showing that the videos were doing good. Now, especially, is when the super micro improvements make a massive difference in your analytics. At this stage, you've likely polished up your videos to be good and you understand how bad you were at making videos in the past. This is when even slight drops in retention graphs will be the difference between a video blowing up or not. Now that you're competing at the top of your niche, the difference between an 83% swipe through rate and an 85% swipe through rate can literally be 50 million more views. Obsess over analytics even more. I promise you that there are still things that you aren't doing perfectly, so just keep iterating and keep trying things. At this point, you should be making anywhere from $5,000 to $15,000, maybe even $20,000 a month if you're going just purely off of AdSense. I realize that basically this entire time I've just been spamming YouTube examples, but I hope that you can see that the core principles still apply here. Even if you're trying to start something like a personal brand on Instagram Reels or sell products on TikTok Shop, literally anything. Okay, so now is the part where you need to be learning system skills rather than just creator skills. This is notoriously hard for most people because they got here by being creators, which is no longer the greatest point of leverage. On long forms, you should actually start the system stuff significantly earlier, basically as soon as you start making decent, consistent money. Don't get me wrong, you should still be making banger videos at this point, but to get past this level, you need amazing systems. First things first, you need to start off by building the smallest team possible, like basically just hiring one employee and staying as lean as possible to take over one specific section of your work. If you were doing all of the editing before and that's what's the most time-consuming thing, hire an editor. If script writing is taking you a ton of time, hire a scriptwriter. You find these people on Discords, on Twitter, on YT Jobs, etc. There's no one best place to find them. You need to get creative, but I'll talk about this later. If Dean and I managed to find an insane software developer to build ViewMax without knowing anything about software, you can find somebody to edit your shorts. At this point, you've built the foundation and gotten something to work. Now it's time to go past that and start working on your business rather than inside of it. Of course, this can seem scary, but I promise you that it's really not. It's just the natural progression. The most common thing that I hear creators within that 100K to 1 million subscriber range say is that nobody can make videos as good as them. When you spend the time and effort it takes to create and blow up a channel from scratch, you feel like you're the only person that understands your exact formula. And that might actually be true because you are incredibly skilled at making your videos. Now you need to become skilled at transferring your skills to somebody else. Let's say I want to replace the editing on my videos. You find a guy that you like who you can see yourself working with. Make sure to actually get them bought in on your vision. You'll probably have to spend more time training them how to edit your videos than it would actually take for you to edit a video yourself. It just becomes a math calculation at this point and makes sense. If it takes you 2 hours to edit your own video and you can teach someone else how to do that in 10 hours, within a week, you never have to edit your videos again. And since you're making money, that is a profitable decision that frees your time so you can go ahead and make more money. You might, and actually probably will, suck at this at first, but I promise you that it's not that hard or scary. Instead of correcting the employee and doing the work yourself, try to explain to them why the work they did wasn't good and teach them foundational principles as to what makes your channel good. Sort of like what I'm doing with you right now. By the way, if you learned anything from this video, then you can easily train a guy to edit your videos well one-on-one. I don't even know who you are and I'm just talking to a camera. If you sit in a Discord call with your editor while they're working, I promise you that they will learn quickly. One of the best editors that I've ever worked with is a guy named Dignal. I think he's literally edited over 3,000 videos for us in the past 3 years alone. We met him through another editor that we had DM'd on Twitter who was also working for us that referred Dignal when we were looking for hire more editors. You literally just need to become close to at least one person in the field that you're trying to hire, and if you're a good person and pay fair market rates, then you can find someone for not an insane amount of money. Something that I think is super important to touch on here is the relationship aspect of things. When I was 15 and hiring my first editors, I was literally a bot. Like, I would just text these people a couple times on Discord, send them the footage, and when I got it back, it would be mid. And for some reason, I thought that that was the editor's problem. That's a me problem. You need to get into an actual voice or video call with these people, pitch them your vision, and have them understand that you are an actual human who wants to make this work and are willing to pay them great to get bought into your channel. Don't just DM a random editor a couple times and then get mad when the video doesn't come back good. You need to train them through constantly doing video reviews on Frame, calling them on Discord, and just talking to them every day. The current market rate for editors on shorts is like $20 to $60. I think I might have said this before. I was paying Daniel when he was 15, $50 per video on Slam Dunk, which was expensive at the time, but then eventually we went 50-50. For scriptwriters on shorts, I believe the current market rate is between like $15 and $30. And this all really depends on the niche that you're in. I'm sure Music Media Co. is paying their editors way more than $60 because of how difficult it is. For the Zach D Films type 3D animations, we got quoted over like $300 a video at one point. So it does really vary. To pay people, especially in the beginning, I would use PayPal or Wise. If the amount ends up getting higher, then you can send wire transfers. Also, if you're running multiple channels and can bulk deal the work, usually you can get something like a 50% discount. Creatives value consistency above anything else because the nature of this stuff is that it's just super inconsistent. So what this looks like, for example, is you can strike a deal with an editor where you pay them $2,000 a month for 60 videos instead of $50 a video. Also, once you get to this point, you should probably have an LLC or some sort of legal entity set up. I wouldn't worry too much about this because it varies so much by country, but definitely if you're paying out employees, you want to make sure that you're writing that off as a business expense. I'm not an accountant or lawyer though, so I would low-key just ask ChatGPT. And finally, in this section, you should really expand cross-platform if you haven't already. Sometimes this can lead to insane opportunities. For example, the Slam Dunk YouTube channel was hitting, so we decided to look at expanding cross-platform and found Snapchat shows. The first few episodes that we made on Snap were literally just compilations of 3 or 4 of our YouTube videos put together, which now we know is a horrible strategy, but that led to us doing over $300,000 in profit in our first month on Snapchat. Literally just with an altered version of the Slam Dunk type content talking about celebrity news. I've made a couple videos on how insane that Snapchat story was and even went on a podcast to talk about it. You need to get creative and look for opportunities here. For example, if you make 30-second videos, how can you put 2 together to make a video that's over a minute long to get monetized on the TikTok creator program? How can you angle your videos to print on Facebook Reels, etc. You are now in a position where these little tweaks can make you a disgusting amount of money. If you made it this far, you are building an empire. Usually multiple channels, multiple platforms, and a huge operation. Just so you know what's possible, there are crackheads who are faceless that are currently running over 300 channels with 150 employees, netting them over $1 million a month in profit off of just AdSense alone. There's a company called Jelly Smack that just took short form content and repurposed it across Snapchat and Facebook for a couple years. They got up to 1,500 employees, had a ton of massive pages, and worked with the biggest creators. They raised money at a peak valuation of $3 billion. There's really no limit to this stuff once you're past that Gremlin 0 to 1 stage. Zach D Films, who I talked about before, is another crackhead who is making hundreds of thousands of dollars a month off of just his short form content and has over 40 employees. We know this because we tried hiring one of those employees and he ended up breaking down Zach D Films' business, and we were genuinely shocked at how big it was. Through great hiring, training, and positioning, you can just keep taking these profitable trades, offloading your time for money, and build an empire. My roommate Dean did this on Snapchat, running over 250 shows, printing over $1 million a month. This is when you start heavily attracting platform attention that you have to watch out about. If you get one channel demonetized or banned from the YouTube Partner Program, all other channels that are linked to your AdSense account will get demonetized as well. This ends up becoming a real problem, and you need to decentralize that, possibly through multiple LLCs, bank accounts, and employees just for compliance. Dean got into trouble with Snapchat not liking some of the content they were posting, and they just snapped their fingers and deleted 250 shows all at once. $1 million a month literally just gone like that. At this point, if your team is refined enough, you should be pumping volume. Zach D Films posts a minimum of 5+ times a day no matter what. And his videos are very, very difficult to make. You can post 10 times a day and the algorithm will not punish you. It will just pick the videos that you made that were good enough to get pushed out and push them. So the calculation actually becomes how many good videos can you make a day. Volume always negates luck. If you have a good system to pump out 100 good quality shorts a day, I promise you that you will make a fuck ton of money. People just get complacent or perfectionist here. You really do just have to start pumping out a ton of volume at this stage rather than try to make one ultra perfect video. You have now transitioned from a creator to a CEO. You do still understand the base of the business, but you're not involved in the day-to-day content because you're busy creating systems that help the business grow and make money. The nature of the CEO role is that all of the hardest problems boil up to you so that you have to constantly keep solving them. Elon Musk talks all the time about how he thinks of Tesla as just constantly solving problems. Every week he says what's the most important problem in the company right now, and then he goes and solves it. The faster that you solve the hardest problems, the more money you make. There's like 1 million hours of amazing business content online, and this is honestly past my expertise because I'm on this journey as well with you. But the people that I love watching here are people like Alex Hormozy, Sam Ovens, Alex Becker, Paul Graham, etc. Read biographies, books, watch documentaries of famous CEOs. This is the game that I love to play. Once you have the creator skill set and the operational skill set here, you are dangerous. Both of those combined are incredibly valuable. I talked earlier about Roy Lee, the guy who made Cluely, and his theory about how if you can get 1 billion views to anything, you will make a ton of money. This is where you can get creative. Start thinking about products to sell, offers to sell, affiliate deals, etc. We live in an attention economy, and the skill of how to get attention is more valuable than you could ever imagine. Your goal now is to gain as much leverage as you possibly can with the skill sets that you've acquired through things like hiring, and then funnel the traffic into something that makes you a ton of money. We're using this skill set right now to build our software company. The goal is literally to just make an amazing product and then blast views to it, which if you're somehow seeing this means that my methods worked. This video took me over 2 months to make and thousands of dollars to produce, though I'm likely still going to lose money on it because I'm not selling you a course. If this video even helps one person on their content journey though, then it was worth it. If you want to make viral short form content, then literally just visit the ViewMax website. And if you want to know the latest Gatecamp methods people are using to get rich, sign up to our newsletter. Thank you guys.